If a zombie outbreak begins in your city, the airport will fall before the hospital, and once it does, the infection goes global. You're standing in Terminal B, coffee in the air, rolling suitcases. 1,000 strangers moving with purpose. Reports feel secure. Armed officers, cameras, metal detectors. But none of those systems are built to stop something already inside. R0. Flight 728 lands. One passenger collapses in the jet bridge. Pale, sweating, seizing. Paramedics kneel beside him. He flatlines. Passengers record on their phones. Then he sits up and bites the medic through the glove. Ground zero is not the runway. It's the jet bridge. Airports are not buildings. They're circulatory systems. Thousands of bodies per hour flow through narrow choke point security, boarding gates, baggage claim. Efficiency makes them lethal. Within 15 minutes, the bitten medic attacks again. Inside the medical office near Gate 14, security responds. They think assault. They send reinforcements. No one thinks infection. More bodies move into biting range, or one. Passengers from Flight 728 are already dispersing, connecting flights, different terminals, different states. This is the runway paradox. Hospitals trap infection. Airports export it. Inside the terminal, two infected sprint through the food court. Crowds scatter. Security seals the gate area, but airports are built with redundancy. Service corridors, maintenance tunnels, multiple exits. The infection doesn't bottleneck. It spreads. Now picture the TSA checkpoint. Hundreds of passengers packed shoulder to shoulder in zigzag lines. Shoes off. Belts removed. Trapped. One infected crashes into the queue. Plastic dividers collapse. Metal bins scatter. If a single infected reaches that density, transmission multiplies instantly. Within 20 minutes, the security line becomes a killing zone. The loudspeaker repeats, "Please remain calm." But calm is impossible when blood hits polished tile. Hour 2, air traffic control notices ground crews aren't responding. From the tower, they see people running across the tarmac. A baggage cart slams into a fuel truck. An infected worker attacks a pilot preparing for departure. Now the infection reaches aircraft. This is the point of no return. A plane taxis. Inside, seat 23A begins convulsing. Cabin doors are sealed. At 30,000 feet, there are no exits. The pilot turns back for a medical emergency. Too late, the virus is airborne. Back in the terminal, lockdown begins. Steel shutters descend. Magnetic doors seal. Containment. But containment becomes a cage. Thousands trapped inside with the infected. Airports have something hospitals don't. Pressurized metal tubes full of people, fuel, runways, international departures. You try to escape toward the parking garage, automatic doors are sealed. Stairwells jam with bodies. Outside, planes continue landing. Because no one has officially shut the airport down, the system is too slow. By the time federal authorities ground flights, the virus has already departed. You stand in the terminal watching smoke rise from a crashed service truck. Screams echo down empty concourses. Over the speakers, a final announcement loops. Now boarding Group 4. But the passengers walking toward Gate 22 aren't human anymore. And this is where the real collapse begins. Because the airport is about to become something worse than a transit hub. It's about to become a launch platform. And what happens next? It's how the entire country falls. Emergency landings begin nationwide. While some planes touch down safely, others don't. On one runway, a pilot loses control as infected passengers breach the cockpit. The aircraft veers, slams into a taxiway, ruptures a fuel line. Flames rise beside grounded planes still filled with terrified travelers. The infection is no longer localized. It's synchronized. Every major hub that received passengers from the original airport now experiences the same pattern. Jet bridge collapse. Security overwhelmed, TSA bottlenecks turning lethal, runway personnel infected. The aviation network becomes a transmission grid. This is the airspace paradox. Ground travel spreads disease linearly. Air travel spreads it exponentially. Within 6 hours, infected individuals are present in at least a dozen cities. Some don't even know they're infected yet. They're in ride shares, on trains, walking into office buildings. The airport didn't just fail, it seeded the outbreak. Hour 6. Federal authorities deploy National Guard units to major terminals. Perimeter control begins. But airports are not fortresses. They are glass and steel structures designed for movement, not defense. Large atriums, multiple access roads, underground train systems connecting terminals. Infection doesn't need the front door. It uses the infrastructure. Meanwhile, thousands of passengers remain trapped in grounded aircraft. Air conditioning systems begin to fail as auxiliary power runs low. Cabins grow hot. Stress rises. One infected individual in a confined cabin guarantees total spread. By the time ground crews open the doors, there are no survivors to rescue. Only movement. Hour 8. Our space is officially closed, but it's symbolic. The virus is already embedded in multiple metropolitan centers. Emergency broadcasts instruct citizens to shelter in place. But sheltering doesn't work when the infected were delivered directly into your city center hours earlier. And then comes the secondary collapse. Airports aren't just travel hubs. They're cargo arteries, medical supplies, food shipments, fuel components, all halted. Within 24 hours, store shelves begin thinning. Within 48, panic buying escalates. Police forces stretch thin, responding to both infection and civil unrest. The airport's fall triggers economic cardiac arrest. Now imagine the final stage. A military quarantine perimeter forms around the original airport. Okay? Armored vehicles, floodlights, snipers on rooftops. They believe they've contained it. But containment assumes a single origin point. The data's wrong. The infection left before the perimeter existed. The real outbreak isn't inside the airport anymore. It's in the suburbs, in apartment buildings, in hospitals admitting violent flu patients. The airport was never the epicenter. It was the amplifier. Amplifiers don't destroy themselves. They project outward. Within 72 hours, multiple cities report identical patterns. Transport hubs collapsing first. Hospitals overwhelmed next. Urban centers gridlocking. The infection doesn't spread like a wave. It spreads like sparks from a jet engine. And you realize something terrifying. The airport didn't just accelerate the outbreak. It erased the warning phase. In past pandemics, spread took weeks. This one took hours. Because in the modern world, distance doesn't exist. The final image isn't of planes in the sky. It's of empty runways, silent terminals. Boarding screens still glowing. Delayed, delayed, delayed. But the delay isn't the flight. It's civilization. And by the time the last control tower goes dark, the outbreak isn't local. It isn't national. It's everywhere. If you survive the airport, your next mistake would be heading toward the military quarantine zone. Okay? Because walls and guns don't save you from something already inside, and that collapse is even faster.